Welcome back, everybody. It's me, Nova. It's been a while for anyone who saw the video when it first came out, and as you can tell, I have a much better mic about now, and we find ourselves back at Royal Road, the wonderful website. As you can see, I am logged into my actual account this time. Don't look at my stories. I'm looking at you. Don't do it. Do not read my stories, please. I wrote them a long time ago. And today, I mainly wanted to kind of give a reader's guide. A lot of people come here to write, but there's also a lot of people that come here to just read. So I'm going to go through some stories that I particularly find new readers would enjoy on the website. I would like to remind anyone watching this video that these are all just my personal opinions. If you do not like the stories, I will apologize, but we're going to start with the first one, and it's going to be The Primal Hunter by Zogarth, and I'm just going to go ahead and read the synopsis for you. On just another normal Monday, the world changed. The universe had reached a threshold humanity didn't even know existed, and it was time to finally be integrated into the vast multiverse. A world where power is the only thing that one can truly rely on. Jake, a seemingly average office worker, finds himself thrust into this new world, into a tutorial filled with dangers and opportunities, in a world that should breed fear and concern, and an environment that makes his fellow co-workers falter. Jake instead finds himself thriving. Perhaps Jake was born for this kind of world to begin with. So starting off with this novel, I find it to be a very easy and enjoyable read, mainly for people that like action novels. If you do not like fantasy or action, maybe some of the other ones will interest you, but this one I find to be the most enjoyable at times to read, and the one I spend most of my time reading. There is some parts towards chapters 50 and 90 around there that got a little bit tedious to read for me personally, but after you get through that, bam, it's just amazing. And especially the first 50 chapters, they are just some of the best I've ever read and really suck you in. And of course, shout out to the author Zogarth. He does an amazing job of uploading chapters very quickly. There's a lot of chapters already that have come out. Let's see, 230 and many more on his Patreon, and the author is very dedicated to this story, and it makes it a very good read because I assume they spend a lot of time building their craft and really making the story better. And of course, Villy, one of my favorite characters of all time, he's great, and I really think you should give this a try. If the first 15 chapters does not interest you, then maybe you should move on to the next one. So we're going to switch from intense action and fighting to something more serene, romantic, a softer, more sugary piece. And it's called Beware of Chicken. I know the cover art doesn't really look professional, or the title doesn't sound professional, but when you read the story and you find out the purpose of the title, it becomes very funny to look at. On top of that, this is a fantasy kind of cultivation novel. Not a lot of people know much about the Chinese cultivation. You as a watcher might, but the good thing about this is it's not really as intense as an actual Chinese cultivation story, like one that came from China and has like the different 9 bodies of healing and the trigram arts or whatever they have. They get some really intense stuff, but this is more laid back. And so I'm just going to read the synopsis for you so you kind of get an idea about what it's about. Now, excuse me if I'm not saying this name correctly, but Jin Ro wanted to be a cultivator who defied the heavens and surpassed all limits. Unfortunately for him, he died, and now I'm stuck here. Arrogant young masters, heavenly tribulations, cultivating for days on end, then getting into life or death battles? Yeah, no thanks. I'm getting out of here. In which a transmigrator decides that the only winning move is not to play. Now, I kind of recommend this as kind of like an opposite of the Primal Hunter, Primal Hunter hasn't had too much romance or too much fluffy things. It's kind of been like action, sort of in your face, edgy at times, but that's what makes it good. Was this is more comedic. I mean, the man ends up with a rooster being his head disciple. I mean, how can how can that not be funny? At least to me. Of course, shout out to Casual Farmer for writing such an amazing story. And if you don't like it within the first, once again, 10 to 15 chapters, I would really recommend you just to try to keep pushing through. And if you can't, might as well head on to the next one. It might suit your tastes more. The next story is Chrysalis. You can find this story on multiple websites, and people who might be coming from a different website might be, recognizing this, but I personally very recommend it if you're looking for something different. It is funny, like in Beware of Chicken, and it has a lot of combat like the Primal Hunter, and it kind of mixes them together. And it does it very well. I mean, it's very popular all over web novel websites. And I'm going to read the synopsis for you so you kind of get a small idea. Anthony has been reborn, placed into the remarkable game-like world of Pangera. However, something seems a little off. What's with these skills? Bite? Dig? Wait, I've been reborn as a what? Now, the main character, Anthony, has been reborn as an ant. Kind of funny that his name is Anthony, reborn as an ant. And this story kind of follows his adventures as he tries to survive. And I would give this one, honestly, 30 chapters. And if you still aren't sucked in then, maybe might be time to move on to the next story. Though I give this story a 10 out of 10 personally. Very funny, very intense, and kind of puts me on the edge of my seat at times. Very well written. It's very easy to read as well. There's not a lot of like complicatedness, with big fluff words. The author is very good with his writing, with their writing, and it's just a pleasant read. I highly recommend it. Now, if you've noticed, and you've been on the website a little bit, I am mainly recommending fictions that can be found on the top trending this week. And honestly, it's because all of the ones within the first 3 pages of top trending this week are usually very, very good. Like to the point where you could probably publish them. So if you don't like any of these, just scroll through the top trending and just try to get through most of them on the first 3 pages, because going beyond that can maybe get a little bit of a chore. But here is my pick for the best fiction on the website, The Perfect Run by Void Herald. Now I'm going to read the synopsis so you can have a little bit of an understanding of what the book is about. Ryan Quicksave Romano is an eccentric adventurer with a strange power. He can create a save point in time and redo his life whenever he dies. Arriving in New Rome, the glitzy capital of sin of a rebuilding Europe, he finds the city torn between megacorporations, sponsored heroes, superpowered criminals, and true monsters. It's a time of chaos where potions can grant the power to rule the world, and dangers lurk everywhere. Ryan only sees the different routes, and from hero to villain, he has to try them all. Only then will he achieve his perfect ending, no matter how many loops it takes. In this story, you'll find that Ryan Romano is a very witty and, as it says, eccentric person. He is mainly on a quest to find somebody. I'm not really going to give too many details. And he is very close to finding them. However, he has to figure out the perfect way in which he can find them and protect everyone else he meets along the way as well. And honestly, just Ryan is a very, very funny protagonist, very likable, and you can kind of see where he's coming from for a lot of things. Void Herald, as an author, is amazing. They have written other amazing pieces that honestly you should try to read as well. I mean, there's Vanqueer. It's a story about a dragon, a really good comedy story. Just if you see something by Void Herald, you can, for the most part, know that it's well written and probably funny. Another one where we have a funny protagonist, and in my opinion, this one's a little bit funnier than the last. We have He Who Fights with Monsters by Shirtaloon. Very good story, and I'm going to go ahead and read the synopsis for you. Jason wakes up in a mysterious world of magic and monsters. He'll face off against cannibals, cultists, wizard, monsters, and that's just the first day. He's going to need courage. He's going to need wit, and he's going to need some magic powers of his own. But first, he's going to need pants. Follow Jason as he makes a place for himself in a world that is strange, yet sometimes strangely familiar. He'll meet crime lords and aristocrats, gods and monsters on his path from would-be victim to hero adventurer. At least he tries to be heroic. It's hard to be good when all of your powers are evil. Now this one slightly deviates from the others in the way that you can read it. When you scroll down, you will see chapters 1 through 13 available, and then it goes to chapter 190. No, that's not a typo. It's just that the book itself has been published on Kindle. And I would very much recommend reading these 13 chapters, and then if you really like it, pay for the book. It's worth it. Just the book that has been published is amazing. Just all of it, all the way through. One of the best books I have ever read, and I've read a lot. Shirtaloon himself puts a lot of time and effort into these story, and just give it a try. You won't regret it. And for the final story I would recommend is Demon's Journey by Chrysalis, a classic, well, at least in terms of age, on the website. Now, so you can have an idea of what the story is about, I'm going to go ahead and read you the synopsis once again. Palan is raised in the harsh world of demons, depending on himself to survive while raising his sister. One day, his sister falls sick and he's forced to make a deal with an angel in order to save her life. Unfortunately for him, that deal sends him a world away from his sister. What happens when a ruthless demon is thrust into the world of the heavens above? Now, if you can look at the tags I have open, this one is a more dark kind of story with the demon being the main character and not really having a grasp of living, at least other people's lives, but it's also a romance. And it's a nice blend, and it's one of the first stories I started out with on this website, so I have to recommend it. I mean, I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but I'm just going to say Chrysalis is one of my favorite authors on the website and has been for a long time. This story is very good. I would give it a read. It has a lot less followers than the other, but that does not mean it's not good. In terms of being someone new to reading, this one can maybe be a little bit of a shock with how violent it can be. But if you're willing to try it out, try it. And if you're okay with that, perfect. This is a story for you. And as we wind down towards the end of the video, I'd like to just give a thank you to all the people who watched the first one, the people who gave comments, like, subscribed. I'm not really doing this for popularity. I'm doing this to kind of spread awareness about a website I really like, and to also try out editing, because it just seemed fun. And if you made it to the end of the video, thank you. Give all of those books a try, honestly. And I hope to see you in the next video. And hopefully it doesn't take like nearly a year to make the next one as well.